What is up, guys? I'm Kyle, back with another video, and today we're talking about wrist and hand mounts. So these two are from a company, NeoPine. If you remember, NeoPine was the company which made that innovative shoulder mount, kind of the iteration after a GoPro chest mount. They made a shoulder mount, so put the camera up here, and it was able to produce a pretty cool shot, very stable, but you did end up with a lot of your face in the shot, so wasn't really a huge fan, but they are pushing the boundaries and trying new things. So these are their hand and wrist mounts. We'll go through the wrist mount first here. So I've got it mounted on my left hand here. And the first thing that is cool about it is it's actually got a locking, rotating mount here. So you push this in to unlock it, and then you can rotate the camera to any angle you want, and then push the locking mechanism in, and that will lock this mount in place wherever it happens to be located. Then you push this in again to unlock it, rotate it to the new angle, and lock it back in. Now, we've looked at a rotating mount like this before, and I think that was a Mutter 360-degree rotating helmet mount. And with that one, I wasn't really happy because there was quite a bit of mount movement in it, and that still holds true. Also with the Mutter, I was able to easily rip the GoPro mount off of this rotating base, and that doesn't change here with the one from NeoPine. So while this locking mechanism and rotating mechanism is cool, it isn't really something that you can use because it doesn't do well with hard impact. So while this wrist mount is cool and the neoprene is nice and it's pretty solid and it sits well on my wrist, because of how bad these rotating locking mechanisms are, I don't recommend using them, especially if you're going to be using this somewhere where it's high impact. Now, the problem with wrist mounts are, the reason you use it is because you're doing something with your hands, probably going to be high impact, and you want to have to not worry about the camera. Well, when these mounts fall apart like this, that's kind of defeating the purpose of having the camera wrist mounted and out of the way somewhere where you don't have to worry about it. And that brings us to the second mount. That is the back of the hand mount. And now this one to me is the one that's really cool because it's very different. And well, it's not a locking rotating mount. It's actually a tripod mount, which is backed by a flat-headed bolt, so it's mounted in like that. And that means it does have some rotation, and it's not completely secure, so it's not going to stay in the position you set it in, but it is, you can, if you twist it here, you're able to rotate it. And then it's backed on by a little strap. So you stick your thumb through this hole and you wrap this strap around here and back on itself to do it up. Now, my one concern with this mount is the fact that on my very large hands, I almost end up bottoming out this strap, tightening this mount down, because the camera does add a fair bit of bulk, and to make it a stable shot, you do need this mount quite tight. So I'm worried that if you have any kind of medium or small sized hands, you might not be able to get this mount tight enough to produce stable shots. Now, having said that, I found this mount not that useful for actually shooting video. I found most of the video you shoot with it is pretty shaky. You can see there's a lot of movement in the camera, but having said that, shooting this with self-portrait photos works out absolutely awesome. So you can put the camera into half-second time-lapse mode, and you can go about doing whatever it is you're doing, and you can get some really awesome shots. So places I see this being useful are skydiving, places where you really want the camera to be out of the way and not have to worry about it. This mount is definitely more secure than the wrist mount, even if it is a little bit more intrusive in your hand, because you do have that one strap running along the palm of your hand. Guys, these products are very, very niche. They're not the kind of thing which anyone or everyone, definitely not everyone, and probably not even most people or even some people, need in their kit bag. They're designed for a very specific role where someone who already knows that that's the one place they can mount their camera. Now, for you or me, if we're shooting in general situations, there's tons of ways which are better than these two mounts to capture what's going on. And because of that, they're really not something which anyone needs in their kit bag. But for those very few people who know that a back of the hand camera mount or a wrist mount is exactly what they're looking for, you could look at this back of the hand mount, and then you could look at how this wrist mount is constructed and maybe do something similar or find a way to change this mount out of here, because if you need that wrist mount, you probably don't want it to pop out like these ones can. Guys, this was the wrist and back of the hand mount from NeoPine. You can check the description down the video, or you can check the video description for full links to all of these products, as well as the other reviews I mentioned in this video. Guys, until next time, thank you very much for watching. This was another video from me. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and until next time, thank you very, very much for watching.